also like to thank Warner Brothers for giving a new print, because they didn't even want to do that when the film came out, so I want to now finally thank them.
Well, welcome to the more intimate scale of Cinema 1 after a couple of blockbuster shows in Cinema 2 this week. How are you holding up?
It's nice to be here. I mean, even though I don't know where I am, it's still nice to be anywhere. It's got a very good spirit. They did a really nice job with this show, so I was very, very excited to be here.
Great. Pee-wee's Big Adventure is a film that just seems to announce itself with this sense of, we're here, we have ideas and energy to burn, we know our film genres, but we're just going to have a lot of fun too. Is it fair to say that making Pee-wee's Big Adventure way back in 1985 was about as happy and unencumbered an experience as a first-time feature film director might hope for?
Yeah, I felt really quite lucky. People ask how do you get into the film business, and I said I really don't know. It was a bit of luck, and I remember recalling that I had more trouble getting my job at a restaurant than I got getting that job. So. And it was a good first film for me because I got to play around with different sort of sub-genres and things within the film. So, and it was kind of a film that was sort of under the radar, so they didn't torture me too much because they didn't really know we were actually making it, because it was kind of under the radar.
Well, I was going to say, it feels like a film that didn't suffer too much interference at the hands of the studio, even though you had a big studio like Warner Brothers attached. They even gave you access to the backlot for the thrilling chase sequence.
Well, I think it was, and it sort of shaped the rest of my career. I was amazed that they wanted to do the movie, but at the same time they didn't really understand what it was, so they didn't know what to complain about. They didn't know what to go, so that I tried to keep that going for as many other projects as I could.
There just seems to be a sense of kismet about it. I mean, from the fact that even Paul Rubens found you when you were still, I guess, an emerging filmmaker. You had some wonderful shorts to your credit. In fact, was it Frankenweenie that was instrumental in bringing you to the attention of Paul Rubens?
I think it was that and Vincent, and that was, even though nobody else saw those films, I was lucky enough that, Paul and the producers, and there was one woman at Warner Brothers who was a very big supporter of mine. So I was again very lucky to have been able to make those short films to show them.
Just a second, okay. Well, one thing you could clear up for me is for years I just assumed that those wonderful life-size dinosaur sculptures at the truck stop location were, and this isn't to take anything away from it, mind you, an invention of you and your product.
No, they were real. And I remember I was lucky because I remember as a child driving by those, going out to the desert, and so, that was one location. Even before I was making films, I knew I wanted to shoot someday. We made the inside of the dinosaur ourselves, but the exteriors are. In fact, the guy when we went out there, he was this 89-year-old man, and I remember him walking me out to the desert, and he had to build the giant brontosaurus and T-Rex. And he started to describe like he was going to build a 150-foot woolly mammoth that you'd slide down it. And he was just looking at this sort of blank horizon, and it was such an amazing thing. So, we got to fool around different locations. So it was a real fun movie to make.
Given that only a few years earlier, as you say, you were an animator at Disney, that I've heard you say you could on occasion be found under your desk or scribbling away in a closet somewhere. Was one of the challenges, or one of the things that extended you with Pee-wee's Big Adventure, marshalling an entire cast of human actors?
Well, yeah, because as an animator, I was very non-verbal. I barely spoke to anybody. People didn't even know I could speak for a long time. And so, yeah, it was a different challenge for me, but it was good because it helped me to learn to communicate better. And I was lucky because, with Paul and the writers, I felt connected, and they sort of understood that about me, and so, I felt quite supported, and, people could see this sort of look in their face like, what the hell are you talking about, kind of thing. But we were all kind of on the same wavelength, which was good.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of get that tone, but it's incredibly consistent across the whole film, so everybody seemed totally tuned in.
Yeah, no, it was, you know, that was the first time you really learned about collaboration and getting everybody together, and that you know, I really got excited by that, and working with people that are good at improv and, you know, just doing things more spontaneously, and so that was really good.
Was Jan Hooks the perkiest tour guide in the Southwest, Tina? Was she of that school
I
performance?
I love bad tour guides. One of my favorite things. She was excellent. I remember that was one of my favorite scenes to shoot because I've suffered many tours like that.
And of course, for any fans of 30 Rock out there, you may recognise Jan Hooks as Verna, Jenna Maroney's mother. She has started making appearances in season 4, so look out for her. If you're not sure you recognise her, you will absolutely by the unique timbre of her voice. I think you know it's Verna. Oh, now, Danny Elfman, of course. This was your first collaboration with someone who's just a crucial part of your sort of creative ensemble now. You had to persuade him because he was a musician about town, but not really an experienced composer.
It was weird. Before I ever even thought of, or had the opportunity to even think that I'd be making films, I used to go see his band, this band called Oingo Boingo in nightclubs in LA. Just, I was always struck by the very theatrical nature of their music, and it was just, and so, you know, just, you know, we kind of both started together. It was kind of, you know, it connected us really because, you know, he didn't know what he was doing, I didn't know what I was doing, and so we felt very closely, you know. And it was amazing to see him dealing with an orchestra for the first time, and also, you know, we've had a strong sort of bond ever since.
Well, his score is just one of many pleasures in the film. Can you tell me if you discussed with him some of the things he would do with the score? I'm thinking of just the wonderful riffs on Nino Rota's sort of Fellini-esque music and the Bernard Herrmann Hitchcock influence.
Well, you know, Danny, we just always talked about film scores, and I think he's a real lover of film scores. And like I said, just listening to his band before, you know, ever thinking about films, it always had a kind of film score aspect to it, and also he was just good at, you know, demoing up things and things, so it wasn't like, you know, just go into the recording session and what are you going to get, you know, we sort of knew what was happening before we went into the sessions.
Okay. Now, I understand your aversion to studios imposing ridiculous release dates for scripts that perhaps aren't quite ready to go into production yet, but may we dare to hope to see your feature-length stop-motion Frankenweenie in the next, say, year or two?
Well, maybe it's a couple of years. It's a low budget, and you know, we're doing it in black and white, which of course the studio is thrilled about. I don't know why they hate black and white so much, but hey, they'll have to suffer through that one. So yeah, but you know, it's going to probably try to be more like the drawings and stuff, so it, you know, sort of expanded in a slightly different story, but you know, I love stop motion, so you know, another attempt at that. Yeah.
Will you be working again with some of the artists and technicians who worked on Corpse Bride with you?
Yeah.
People
People in Manchester, out in East London. Don't be studio.
Okay, well, I shouldn't hog the mic, so I think we have just a little bit of time to take a few questions from the audience. If you have a question, how surprising. If you have a question for Tim, if you could just raise your hand and wait for Virginia to bring the microphone over to you, please.